When was the last time you walked through a city and saw no litter at all? In Singapore, that's what strikes most visitors first. But it isn't just good habits. There's an entire system behind it. We start at one of Singapore's busiest shopping streets. And one of the hardest to keep clean. Here, the National Environment Agency, or NEA, steps up patrols.
If you happen to witness any situations that requires your attention or escalated situations, please be sure to report them, let your supervisors know, and stay in a group. So at cleanliness hotspots, we will send officers in larger group. You'll be highly visible with uniform, armbands, so that they stand out.
It's a strategy that goes beyond punishment. Sean leads a team whose visible presence is designed to change behavior, simply by being seen.
So in the past, when officers are in covert, only the offender that was enforced upon knows that officers were there. But now, even the passerbys or would-be offenders will be deterred from committing offences.
They're watching for everyday offences: littering, spitting, and more.
Orchard Road is a no-smoking zone, so you can't smoke anywhere except at designated smoking areas.
The officers spot a smoker outside the designated zone. They step in, explain the offence, and issue a fine.
Like any real-life situation, the interactions between individuals are dynamic. Things may escalate very quickly. So as enforcement officers, it's important to notice these telltale signs and defuse the situation as early as we can.
They may not be the most popular presence on the streets, but Sean and his team play a vital part in keeping them clean. Keeping a city clean isn't just about sweeping up. It means stopping problems before they build. Officers can't be everywhere, and the challenge goes beyond the streets. Across Singapore, drains and waterways flow into reservoirs. At Sungai Seletar in the north, they carry not just water, but the city's waste. That's where Shrida comes in. He oversees public cleaning across Singapore and works with service providers to test new tools that can take pressure off this manpower-heavy job.
Public cleaning is manpower intensive. We adopt technologies to ease the manual work.
Okay, now you try to intervene and you do it yourself. Yeah, you control.
Here, Shrida works with Lopez, who operates a system on the water designed to trap floating waste. This includes everything from rubbish to leaves washed in by the rain.
A typical day is the Waterway robot moving off from our charging station and flying the waterway on a pre-programmed route, trapping litter in the middle channel of the robot, and there's a basket in there which collects the litter. And there is a cage that allows the litter to stay in even if it reverses or moves forward or shifts left or right. The whole function is to trap the litter and bring it back to our station where we can unload the waste.
Not all technology is visible. Some of it lies underground in the city's drains. Tamo is part of the team testing sensors. His job is to make sure blockages are caught early, so drains keep flowing.
The sensors use a time-of-flight sensor. It measures light pulse to measure debris within a certain container. So they also have a camera, a low-light sensor, and a flashlight to operate in dark conditions. And what happens is when they measure the levels within the drain chamber, they send alerts to a command center and our field supervisors to take actions on the ground.
Singapore's clean reputation doesn't rest on spotless streets alone. At its busiest landmarks, waste management is part of the same system.
Changi Airport is a very big international air hub. Just last year alone, we had over 67 million passengers. We have a community of over 60,000 people who work on a daily basis at the airport.
Managing it better has become a key part of the airport's sustainability work. Gerald oversees sustainability at the airport.
We are always looking at novel ways in which we can recycle better. So every little bit counts.
For his team, waste is more than what passengers leave behind. It also comes from the airport itself, including the gardens that shape the Changi experience. When the blooms are over, they too add to the waste. Kaja keeps the airport's gardens in shape. From new shoots to old blooms, he manages the life cycle of every plant. Now he's testing a new approach, composting the flowers in-house, starting with sunflowers.
In Terminal 2, on the outdoor at level 3, there's this sunflower garden. It's displayed with almost 1,000 sunflowers, and they are changed every 10 days. So once sunflower finishes its flowering, the plant stem and the leaves are good for recycling.
Each sunflower begins life in the airport's nursery. After the blooms fade, the sunflowers return here, not to be discarded, but to be reused.
We only use the stalk with the leaves and the dried flowers, and that is put into a machine and it's grounded. And then the end product is what we have as the first stage, and we leave it for about close to 3 months.
Once dried, the ground sunflowers are turned into compost. Mixed with soil, it improves the ground and helps other plants thrive. Every bloom feeds the next. Nothing is wasted. Across the city, Marina Bay Sands faces a different challenge. Behind the glamour is a back-of-house kitchen that runs at a massive scale. Every day, it serves 15,000 meals to staff, and with them, tons of food waste.
In any sustainability effort, you can't manage what you don't measure.
At Marina Bay Sands, Roger leads sustainability. In the staff kitchen, one of his projects uses AI to track what gets thrown away.
You can put the tray of food underneath the camera. It will detect what that food is. So it will take the photo, it will track the weight, it will tell us the value, and it will give us all of that data, which helps us refine the menus, refine the portion size to reduce the volume of waste that we're producing.
Even with less waste on the plate, there's still plenty left behind. That's where the Waste Master takes over.
The Waste Master is a really cool piece of technology that uses advanced oxidation and thermal treatment to do a really advanced composting process. And what comes out of that machine is actually a nutrient-rich substrate.
The system is part of a bigger loop. The output is sent off-site, processed into pellets, and fed to fish at local farms.
The Waste Master has allowed us to salvage the value and the nutrients from the food that would normally be thrown away. We're able to do something meaningful and circular with the waste afterwards as well. So this is really the kind of systems that we need to create for the future.
Singapore's clean reputation isn't just about spotless streets. It's held up by officers patrolling the ground, sensors and machines working out of sight, and waste systems built into its major landmarks. From the everyday to the monumental, every part of the city works to stay clean. You can cross the city without crossing a single street. Beneath the traffic lies a network of walkways built for pedestrians. They connect MRT stations, malls, and offices, forming continuous routes across the city centre. The first underground walkways were road underpasses, short tunnels to cross busy streets safely. By the 1990s, they extended into longer corridors linking MRT stations to malls and offices. In 2000, CityLink Mall opened, Singapore's first underground shopping street, running from City Hall MRT to Suntec City. Since then, the network has kept growing. But the deeper it goes, the harder it is to see what lies below.
Because unlike planning above ground, you can't really see these underground spaces that easily. So the 3D maps of these underground spaces allows us to look at potential conflicts and any pinch points way up front in the planning stages and try to deconflict them as early as possible so that future implementation can be done much more smoothly.
Beneath the city, tunnels, cables, and building foundations all compete for space. Each new pedestrian link has to find a path between them. That's where architect Hemal comes in.
Because we have very limited land, Singapore has to take a long-term approach to our planning. So with the limited land, we need to make use of our underground spaces as well to optimize our land use.
One way is through underground pedestrian links, or UPLs.
It's really meant to facilitate seamless movement of people from areas of high-density developments, like in Orchard and Marina Bay and here in the Civic District, to transit nodes like major underground MRT stations.
In the Civic District, one of the newest underground links runs through Funan. Just 100 meters long, but part of something bigger.
So today through the Funan underpass onto City Hall MRT and then through CityLink Mall onto Suntec. That route is almost 1 kilometer long. At the moment, it is the longest continuous network in Singapore.
At first glance, it looks like a simple tunnel, but building it was far more complicated. The Funan link fell to project manager Celia.
I think people don't realize how challenging it is to build an underground pedestrian link, which looks very functional. It's just a straight tunnel connecting from point A to point B.
Building underground means working with the unknown.
There are actually a lot of services and utilities crisscrossing us, and they might be at different levels below the soil. So we had to ensure that when the tunnel rings are being pushed through, it does not get hindered by these services.
From keeping the ground stable to avoiding hidden utilities, every move requires planning. It's precision work, demanding constant checks and quick adjustments. And then there's its location.
Because the UPL is directly under Northbridge Road, the major artillery road in the city. So we had to minimize the number of road closures to minimize the disruptions to the traffic.
But solving the engineering challenge was only part of the job. Celia's team also had to think about how it would feel to walk through the space.
The scale and proportion of the UPL with the width and the height, it is actually quite generous. So it does not really make one feel very claustrophobic when they are walking through the tunnel. In fact, the tunnel height is at 4 meters, so it does give a more spacious feeling.
And they wanted the tunnel to be more than just functional.
A lot of the underground network links are actually very monotonous and very functional. But in the Funan UPL, because we considered that this is going to be a very long walk, over 100 meters. So when we designed Funan UPL, we were conscious to make it more enjoyable space. So we did so by considering the lighting. We had colored lights inside the tunnel. And we also make use of interesting facade design and signages.
To break the monotony even further, the walls double as a canvas. Festive art, branding, and projections change through the year, so the tunnel rarely looks the same. Making it look good is one thing. Behind the scenes, it takes constant upkeep to keep it that way.
Is the UPL ventilation is in optimal condition right now? Is the temperature okay?
That's the job of Evelyn, Funan's general manager who oversees its daily operations and maintenance.
Everything looks fine now, but it will move to this side as well. Yeah, then how does it look like? Maintaining the UPL requires special attention as compared to above ground areas. Since there is no natural ventilation as well as daylight within this space, it is important to ensure that the air quality, cleanliness and brightness is maintained and kept throughout the whole time that is operating.
Lighting here does more than keep the walkway bright. It shifts through the day, adjusted from a control room.
So typically, the degree of the warmth actually creates a different ambiance. If it's too yellow, it tends to give you a more relaxed feel. But at the same time, because it's a busy space that people passes through quite quickly, it's quite transient in that sense, it cannot be too dark as well.
Comfort underground isn't just about light. Walkways also act as shelter, keeping commuters out of sun and rain.
The UPLs actually provides that shelter for everyone. It's a practical reason, essentially, is to ensure that people are able to get from one point to another without actually being exposed to the elements.
And with no natural ventilation, chilled water systems cool the air and circulate it through the walkway.
We'll try to maintain it about 24 degrees around there. So there will be set temperatures. So it's basically a system that actually they will trigger. By right, it should trigger whenever it goes beyond a certain temperature. Yeah, that's how it works.
That steady temperature is managed here in the chiller room. Chilled water flows through pipes to cooling units. Fans blow cool air from it into the tunnel. Technicians monitor the system constantly to keep it holding at 24 degrees.
As you walk through the underground pedestrian link, the temperature is constant, the ambience is inviting, the lighting is consistent throughout the entire linkway. So I feel that everything comes through holistically and it comes through very naturally and it feels comfortable.
The Funan link offers a glimpse of what's ahead. Future pedestrian corridors are planned not just to connect buildings, but to serve as shared public spaces underground. As more of these links are built, the challenge will be making each one distinct.
As we become more built up and we have more UPLs that links buildings to buildings and to the MRT stations, it's more important that we have more curated, differentiated spaces that pedestrians can look forward to when they pass through on their daily commute journeys.
An underground link may look like a simple tunnel, but each one represents years of planning, construction, and daily upkeep. Planners map the ground in 3D. Engineers tunnel beneath live roads. Operators keep them cool, bright, and clean.
Okay, but this one looks okay. Yeah.
The Funan Underground Walkway is one link in a growing network. Part of how Singapore's underground is evolving. From simple crossings to curated spaces, built around the needs of a city that keeps moving.
Every morning, before the city wakes, buses are already on the move. They pass through neighborhoods, heading into the city as the day begins. Connecting people, places, and daily routines. One journey at a time. Singapore's bus system spans the city with over 360 routes and 5,000 stops. It's designed for reach, frequency, and flow, with most buses running on time, almost to the minute. But it took years of change to build the system we see today. Singapore's first buses were privately run in the early 1900s. Small, noisy, and prone to breakdowns. Nicknamed mosquito buses, they made up most of the bus services up till the 1960s. Operators ran different routes, some in the city centre, others on the outskirts. There were plenty of buses, but no system to bring it all together. Over the decades, the government restructured the system, consolidating operators, standardizing routes, upgrading the fleet, and introducing central planning. What began as a patchwork of services became a coordinated network across the city. The day begins in a quiet depot at 4 a.m.
So morning, I'll reach, I'll report my duty, then the dispatcher will deploy me with a route for me to do.
Peng Kian is a bus captain, a title that reflects how the role has changed.
Normally people will think that a bus captain is a bus driver that ferry passenger from point A to point B. Actually, in Singapore here, we do more than that. We have to take care of the passenger safety. We have to take care of the situation safety on the road.
Safety doesn't start on the road. It begins with the first checks. Peng Kian powers up the systems, checks the exterior, then walks the cabin for one final look. Once he's on the road, the focus only sharpens.
It's not only driving. Bus is big, you got a lot of blind spot. So constantly you got to look after the blind spot and the system. So focusing is very important.
With so much to watch, it helps to have backup. The mobile eye system monitors lanes, tracks nearby vehicles and pedestrians, and flags speeding. It's designed to catch what the driver might miss before it becomes a problem.
So there's one thing that I like about this job. I can see a lot of stages of people, like working group, the elderlies, the helpers. So you get to face them in one whole morning. So it's quite fun. Like you're engaging all kind of different people on different routes at different places.
Not every day is easy, but he keeps going. For the familiar interactions and the people who remind him why he does this. On the road, bus captains respond to what's in front of them, traffic, timing, and whatever the day brings. But behind the scenes, another team is watching the bigger picture. They track live data, adjust routes, and keep the network in sync.
Low BOCC, how can I help you?
When something goes wrong on the road, the call often comes here first. At the Bus Operations Control Center, controllers like Sam keep an eye on every bus route, tracking delays, road conditions, and how crowded buses are. From his screen, he sees how it all connects.
Every day, I need to ensure the bus operation is smooth and all the buses travel on schedule. We also tracking the bus location, the passenger loads, and the road condition. If there's any sign of delay, then we will take the action immediately.
Spotting the issue is just the first step. The challenge is reacting fast. Rerouting services, alerting ground teams, and keeping things on time.
Okay, where is the location? Okay, so you mean now the road is not passable, right?
A fallen tree blocks a turn. One bus is stuck. As the bus captain waits at the scene, Sam's already working through options, checking nearby buses, finding a detour, and assessing how this might affect other buses down the line.
Sam calling from SMRT. Okay, I have a situation here is the road not passable. For service 973, along this particular road turn to Bukit Panjang Road, so I have planned a diversion route. We go through this Jurong Road, Rompang Road.
It sounds simple, but these are split-second calls based on experience, road knowledge, and the pressure to get it right.
Okay, now the diversion route has been approved. Now we are following this road. We just turn here. Okay, we skip these two bus stops. The most challenging for me is time, because every second pass by, the things maybe will go worse. We need to react very fast to make a decision, and the action, what action we take will affect any commuters on the road. They may not able to travel on time.
Moving buses across the city is one challenge. Changing what powers them is another. Singapore is gradually replacing its fleet with electric and hybrid buses. Over 130 are already on the road. But switching to electric isn't just about the vehicles. It means new infrastructure, new workflows, and new ways to keep things running. At another depot across the island, technicians are already getting to work.
I'll check the exterior for you.
Sharul has been a bus technician for 8 years. In the last 2, his focus has shifted to maintaining Singapore's growing fleet of electric buses. From braking systems to high voltage wiring, everything needs checking. And it all starts with the batteries.
So technically what I'm looking out is for any abnormalities on the wire harness or any AC, DC motors or any problems on it.
Inside each electric bus are multiple battery packs that contain many battery cells. Their temperature and charge are tracked constantly to ensure the bus runs reliably. If anything looks unusual, it's flagged early for maintenance. That's why early checks matter. Once the bus is on the road, the checks don't stop. Built-in systems with remote diagnostics track performance in real time, even while passengers are on board.
So if the bus is outside, we can see the future abnormalities coming. So we can call back the bus and maintain accordingly.
Technology helps, but some checks still need to be done on the ground. Under the bus are some of its most important systems. Also, the most exposed. Brake lines, suspension, and high voltage cables. Shahrul looks for cracks, corrosion, or signs of wear. Things that could put the whole vehicle out of service if missed. It's detailed, demanding work. But Shahrul knows why it matters.
You're going to check the sensor. Open the door. Of course, it's a cleaner and a greener future. There's no smoke, so the passengers also will have a very smooth ride with no much noises. As a bus technician, I feel proud and happy to be a team of maintaining e-buses.
Singapore's bus system didn't start out smooth, but today it runs because of many hands behind the scenes. Captains starting before sunrise, controllers adjusting the network in real time.
Okay, so I have planned a diversion route.
And technicians keeping the next bus ready to go.
As of now, from this graph, it's good.
Most of it goes unseen, but it's what makes the system work.
Some of Singapore's most complex infrastructure is hidden in plain sight. Like this MRT entrance, tucked between buildings in the city centre. Step inside and you're heading 43 meters underground into a network that moves more than 3 million people a day. So what does it take to build a station this deep and keep it running every day? Singapore's Mass Rapid Transit, or MRT, has been moving people since 1987. It launched with just 5 stations on the North-South line. A bold new system designed to ease congestion.
Well, here we are on the first MRT train, the first batch of passengers, all of us eagerly waiting to experience the thrill of the first ride. And yes, we're off.
In the early years, most lines ran above ground. But as the city grew denser, the network had to go underground, beneath roads, buildings, and even rivers. Bencoolen took that shift underground even further, 43 meters down.
Bencoolen Station is actually one of 16 stations under the Downtown Line 3 contract. It is also one of the most difficult stations to be constructed, primarily because it's in the middle of the central business district area. And actually there's a very small slice of land which is available only for the station entrance. So we had to figure out a way where we wanted to put the station.
That challenge fell to Azlan, the architect behind Bencoolen Station. A Above ground, space was already tight. Underground, it was even trickier. Wedged between Fort Canning and Jalan Besar, the tunnels had to pass through one of the city's most complex underground zones, layered with intersecting train lines, utilities, and dense urban infrastructure.
What happens is that the station's tunnels needs to thread through between two very important junctions. One of the junction is at Sungai Road with Bencoolen Street, where you actually have the Sungai Road River, and you have the lines from the North-East Line and also the lines from the Circle Line as well. And to the north at Fort Canning, we also have the lines coming from Dhoby Ghaut Station, which also serve the North-South Line and also the Circle Line as well.
With so much already built beneath the city, there was only one option: go deeper. At the time of construction in 2011, most stations were just 15 to 25 meters underground. This was Singapore's deepest yet. Once the depth was set, a new problem emerged. How do you move thousands of people up and down the equivalent of a 15-story building every day?
It's not easy to actually get people to move vertically up and down from the surface level to the deepest levels where your train platform could be. We had to make sure that this requirement to make people move in and out of the station swiftly, efficiently, and safely is met.
So the team had to carefully design how people move through the station, step by step. At Bencoolen, that meant 22 escalators, linking street level to the platform.
The thing about escalators is this, it's a little bit peculiar. Escalators work efficiently when the maximum height is 6 meters.
Escalators work best at an incline of around 30 degrees. Any steeper and they're harder to step on safely. Any longer and they need more space, structure and power. At this depth, every angle counts.
Some of our stations would have longer escalators. Space is just available for them to do it. But here is a compact station, and we really need to work with the optimal vertical line for escalators.
But systems alone aren't enough. Someone needs to manage flow in real time. People, platforms, and systems.
Hi, how can I help you?
How do I go to Gardens by the Bay?
Right now we're here in Bencoolen. Okay, you'll take 5 stations on the blue line right now where we're at Bayfront.
At Bencoolen, that's Stacey.
Attention passengers, please do not eat or drink in our stations and trains.
From the passenger service centre, she keeps a close eye on the station.
We not just deal with passengers looking for help, we also make sure that the system is running smoothly. So we have to have, I suppose you would say, dual vision. So whatever's happening outside the passenger service centre and whatever's happening inside, we have to be aware at all times.
With multiple levels and escalators, even finding the platform can be confusing, especially for tourists.
The Me Hotel. Okay, so what you can do is you go out by here. Okay. All right, have a good day.
Bencoolen sees a steady stream of them, with several hotels nearby.
Sometimes they will go in and they'll go downstairs, maybe one escalator, and they'll come back upstairs again. Where are the trains?
Even with cameras and monitors, not everything can be seen from behind the glass. That's why Stacey walks the ground. If someone looks unsure, she's often there before they ask.
Hi, Uncle, where you want to go?
I'll go to Pasir Panjang.
Pasir Panjang 啊，我们在这里 ，Uncle， 我们在这里，我在Bencoolen，所以你去2个站去牛车水。啊，对，你去牛车水哈，你换那个 Purple Line 的。
During the day, station staff like Stacey keep things on track.
ASM Stacey to ASM Joburg, everything is normal on the platform, over.
But once the last train pulls out,
The last train to Bukit Panjang will arrive at
another shift begins behind the scenes.
So today we'll be doing PSD maintenance 3 and 6 monthly. So for the protection
Platform screen doors do more than open and close. They form a safety barrier and help ensure trains stop precisely, keeping timing and boarding smooth. Behind each one is a system of components that need to work in sync. Tonight, technicians are testing alignment, checking response time, and looking for faults before they happen. It's routine maintenance. But in a deep station where access takes time, there's little room for error. Further up, fare gates are opened and inspected. Technicians check sensors, motors, and barrier timing, ensuring every tap-in and tap-out works as expected. In a vertically stacked station like this, smooth flow depends on every part working reliably. Just as important as maintenance is the design that shapes how it feels to move underground.
But I think for a deep station, you'd like to linger around it longer. You want to create that sense of delight.
At Bencoolen, that experience is shaped through thoughtful choices.
We wanted to figure out, look, is there any way you can make this feel like you're actually going deep underground? And the colors that was chosen, in fact, was this shade of orange, primarily to reflect the striations of the earth as you dig lower and lower into the ground. That's why you get deeper and deeper and deeper colors.
It's not just color that guides you. The station walls curve to reveal what's ahead, making the descent feel more intuitive.
Because if you have a vertical wall and then you have escalators coming from both banks, as you try to look over the handrails of the escalator, you can't actually see what's happening downstairs. And if you're down at the bottom, you can't actually see upstairs. So the curvature of the station walls actually allow for passengers to get a sense of where they are going to and where they're coming from.
Even the lift doors were designed with depth in mind.
Wouldn't it be delightful if you don't have the lift walls to be clear, transparent? What if we do something a little bit more crimson, reddish kind of thing, like we're actually going to the depths of the earth? So that's where you ended up with, I think, one of the few stations in Singapore we actually have colored glass lift doors. It's very subtle.
You may not notice these details during a morning rush, but that's the point. When a station is well designed, the journey feels seamless. Most of us pass through a station like this without thinking twice.
Passengers traveling with young children or the elderly, please use the lifts.
But what feels routine is the result of engineering, design, and daily care. Station staff manage flow.
Then go and out, over.
Technicians carry out overnight checks. And architects shape how people move, even deep underground. Bencoolen reflects how the MRT has evolved, from running mostly above ground to operating deeper, built around the needs of a growing city. We are inside one of the most extraordinary spaces in Singapore. A 150 meters below ground, carved out of solid granite beneath the seabed. This is the Jurong Rock Caverns, or JRC, Southeast Asia's first underground oil storage facility. A hidden world built to keep Singapore's industries alive. Off Singapore's southern coast lies Jurong Island. It didn't always look like this. In the 1990s, it was created through one of Singapore's most ambitious land reclamation projects. From refineries to petrochemical plants, more than 100 global companies operate here today, making the island one of the world's leading energy and chemicals hubs. And it's here where Singapore made a bold decision.
Let's start to check our hydrant pipes to see whether it's leaking, as well as the hose.
To dig deep below this island and build Jurong rock caverns.
Okay. The top, okay? The top.
Brian is part of the team that turned that vision into reality.
It is Singapore's deepest underground infrastructure public works projects. It is equivalent to 54-story building or the height of Pyramid of Giza, but underground. The facilities has 4 large caverns and 1 smaller caverns with storage capacity of 1.47 million meter cube of liquid hydrocarbons, equivalent to 600 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
Building storage this deep underground isn't just about scale, it's about space.
As Singapore total land surface area is only 716 square kilometers, we are constrained with the limited surface land availability. These oils are normally stored above ground large tanks, which occupies a significant surface area. By locating JRC 130 meters beneath the seabed, we are making use of the space otherwise unused to optimize the land use without affecting the existing developments of Jurong Island.
But storing oil underground isn't as simple as digging a hole in the rock. The first step was to blast through solid granite. That's where Professor Wu comes in. He's a rock science expert, brought in from the very beginning to make sure the caverns could be dug safely.
We collect the rock samples from the cavern level and we put the rock in the lab to do the testing. And during the test, we crush the rock and we want to know, is the rock still strong enough after the blasting work? We found that even after the damage, the rock is still stable enough because the rock was supported by the surroundings.
The rocks in the area may have passed the strength test, but for an underground cavern beneath the sea, the real challenge was keeping water out. Fractures in the rock create hidden pathways where water could seep through.
If you look at this piece of rock, you can see the rock is very strong and dense. So seawater may not be able to seep into the rock matrix, but seawater can flow into the fractures.
To stop that, engineers mapped the water paths, then sealed the fractures with cement paste. But the goal wasn't to stop water seepage completely.
We want to have some water flow in the fracture system to make sure the rock is fully saturated, then the oil can be fully confined inside the cavern without leakage. But we don't want to have too much water flow into the cavern to occupy the space for oil storage.
Solving those challenges took years of testing and persistence. And for Professor Wu, the experience of working underground left a lasting impression.
After my journey with GRC, I found working on rock mechanics and underground construction is very amazing. The reason is because for underground, you will never see anything. You have to dig into the ground, then you will find a solution to solve the problems.
Jurong rock caverns pushed the limits of rock science and underground engineering. From concept to completion, it took 15 years, and the challenge didn't end there. Keeping the caverns running day after day is just as demanding.
Yeah, I think it's doable.
Okay.
Go for it.
Yeah.
That's Alan's job. As the project manager, he knows the system inside out, from the ships above ground to the caverns deep below. And it all begins here, at the jetty.
So the jetty is the first part where we come into contact with the vessel. Once the vessel has berthed successfully at the jetty, we will then proceed to connect our pipelines with the jetty and to line up the pipes and the valves to get ready to receive the oil coming from the vessel.
This oil is transferred straight from the ship into pipelines on the jetty and then pumped underground into the caverns through a valve manifold area.
This is like an interchange of pipelines where we are able to direct the hydrocarbon into the respective caverns.
The caverns have been sealed since construction ended, each one now filled with liquid hydrocarbons. The only access is through the operations tunnel, located right above the caverns.
So the operations tunnel serves as a main artery where we install our equipment, which is serving the respective caverns. And this is the only location where we can enter to carry out maintenance work and inspections.
At the moment, so they also arrange for the scaffolders stuff for them to look into the matter.
Here, Alan and his team carry out regular checks on pumps and pipelines that are responsible for carrying oil in and out of the caverns.
Yeah, it's all the stickers which they identify as some pollution, but so they mark it as these are the stickers all mainly for the marking of the pollution. Oh, okay.
And being this deep underground, safety is just as important as keeping the oil flowing. Even a small leak from a valve or pipeline could release hydrocarbon vapors into the tunnel. So maintenance teams regularly scan for gas leaks to make sure the air stays safe to breathe and the risk of fire is kept under control. In the operations tunnel, maintenance is hands-on. Above ground is where the whole system comes together in the control center.
0.36 now.
A hub that keeps watch over the caverns 24/7 and where every valve and pipeline is tracked in real time.
Okay, so this is the flow rate, right?
Yeah, we are going about 5,008 now.
Okay, 5,008. Roughly how long will they take to complete?
This parcel looking at about 1930.
1930.
Hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's quite soon. Yeah. At the moment, we are facilitating a discharge operation request from a vessel at the jetty, and it's being discharged into the caverns. So we are monitoring the flow rate and the pressure just to make sure all these conditions are operating within the operating range and safe.
From the jetty to the caverns deep below, it takes a team working around the clock to keep this engineering marvel running every day. But its true significance lies beyond what we see.
Jurong Rock Cavern has helped us to gain intensive engineering knowledge, safety management, and operation and maintenance capabilities. So JRC is not just about a storage cavern. It is a blueprint for us to plan the next underground infrastructure solutions.
What if the future of Singapore isn't above ground, but below it? 150 meters under Jurong Island, the rock caverns show what's possible when big ideas meet bold engineering. By turning solid granite into storage and constraints into possibilities. A hidden world today and a model for the city of tomorrow.
Most of Singapore's food is imported, but some makers are doing things differently. Crafting bold, homegrown flavors from scratch and putting Singapore on the global taste map. In a food facility in Woodlands, something unmistakably Singaporean is being cooked up.
Imagine you're eating basically a seafood dish. It has a very strong umami taste. It's salty, also sweet, and it tastes a little bit of a curry leaves and a hint of chili as well. So it's quite a unique taste. What are the problems with this one?
This one because got a black head.
Okay, blackhead.
Irvin didn't set out to create a snack. He opened a Chinese restaurant in 2009, hoping to make a name for himself in the F&B world. Things were going well until a move to a quieter location.
I had to really pick my brain to come up with something new, basically to survive, to save the business. And I asked the chef, what should we do? You know what? People actually come to our restaurant to eat the salted egg crab at the time. Every single table will eat the salted egg crab. So why don't we try to focus on that?
They took the same salted egg mixture from the crab dish and tossed it over something completely different: crispy fish skin and potato chips.
We packaged the snacks into a jar, and we were just selling it in our restaurant back then, in the cashier in fact. But after 6 months or so, it turns out the sales of the snacks actually outsells my restaurant's business itself.
Today, Irvin snacks are sold in over 20 countries. While they are made in massive quantities, the heart of the process hasn't changed. Step inside the factory, and it doesn't feel like a typical production line.
It's sort of like a big kitchen because the process is still the same. There's a cooking process. We use like real ingredients.
Fresh curry leaves, sifted by hand. Chilies, blended for heat. Salted egg yolks, cooked and mixed till creamy. This is the base of Irvin's signature sauce, made from scratch, batch by batch.
So the sauce will be mixed with the fish skin or potato chips, and then we will put it into the oven for it to be made more crispy.
Once the snacks pass through quality control, they move into the final stage, where automation takes over. Each pouch is flushed with nitrogen to keep the chips crisp, then sealed by machine to lock in flavor and shelf life. It's a crucial step, part of scaling the business while keeping every bag consistent, safe, and ready to go. Even as the process evolves, the heart of it stays the same. A flavor rooted in a Singaporean dish and now landing on shelves around the world.
I think what makes Irvin special also, we embrace ourselves as our own heritage. It didn't came from the idea that we're trying to follow a trend or something like that. And we proved that we can elevate a Singaporean dish to become global.
In Sembawang, another flavor is taking shape. One that starts with a single bean.
8 years ago, craft chocolate or bean-to-bar chocolate is a very new concept.
Jay wasn't a trained chocolatier, but when he discovered the world of craft chocolate, he saw the potential to create something unique. Unlike mass-produced chocolate, bean-to-bar makers roast, grind, and refine the cacao themselves.
I found that there's actually chocolates that are much more flavorful, even with just cacao and cane sugar, much more flavorful than what we're all used to.
Good flavor starts with good beans. Sourced from trusted producers, then sorted by hand, to make sure only the best make it into the chocolate. Then comes roasting, the first real transformation of flavor. By adjusting time and temperature, Jay brings out different flavor notes.
When you roast the beans, how fast that beans absorb thermal energy and convert it into a process that caramelizes, so that basically changes the chemical composition of the beans inside, and that transforms into flavor.
After roasting, the beans are cooled to let moisture evaporate. Then they're cracked. The husks are blown away. And what's left are the nibs, 100% pure cacao. The nibs are ground into cocoa liquor, then refined in a ball mill until the sugar, cacao, and cocoa butter are silky smooth. Next comes conching.
This allows some of the volatile flavor compound to evaporate away. So we can control how intense we want the cacao to be or how the chocolate should be.
Lastly, it's filtered, tempered, and molded.
Once it's set solid, we take it out and then that's the final product.
But for Jay, flavor doesn't stop at the bean.
Barbecue.
So without the smoke, it's nice.
Once the base is perfected, he starts experimenting, infusing the chocolate with unexpected ingredients.
So when we came to make chocolate, we came without any background in chocolate. So I think that allows us to think outside of the box. That's why we started playing around with all the different flavors.
That freedom to experiment led them to a world of flavors. But the ones that meant the most come from home.
We want Singaporeans to evoke a sense of nostalgia on the kind of flavors that we have locally. And then for foreigners, to have a taste of Singapore, so that the next time when they come over to Singapore, they know that, bak kut teh is something that I have to try. Rojak is something that I really have to taste because it tastes so wacky, right? How does it taste in the dish itself? But when they taste the dish, it kind of relates to the chocolate bar that they have tasted before.
Across the island, something else is brewing.
Let me try maybe a bit lower. I want to get it drier though.
John is the founder of Brewlander, one of Singapore's first craft beer brewery. But long before the tanks and tap lines, he was brewing in his apartment, fitting in after work.
Homebrewing for me was my escape every weekend. I would look forward to improving things that I've done before and getting it to where I'm happy. And it was very addictive for me.
What began as a hobby quickly turned into something more. As his brews improved, so did the feedback. But what pushed John further was spotting a gap in Singapore's beer scene.
Every time I'm traveling within Asia, I'm already starting to see like craft beer popping up in local markets. But when I came back to Singapore, it's all the international commercial brands. And I think that's why the whole motivation is to have Brewlander be that iconic representation of what Singapore craft beer is.
To do that, John knew the beer had to speak for itself. And that meant going all in on the craft. It starts with malted barley that's crushed and soaked in hot water. This process, called mashing, extracts sugars from the grain. Next comes lautering. The mash moves to a new tank that acts like a giant metal sieve. Here, a sweet liquid called wort is separated from the grain. The wort is then boiled and hops are added. That's what gives the beer its bitterness, aroma, and complexity. After boiling, it's cooled and transferred to a fermentation tank. Yeast is added, and over the next few days, it eats up the sugar and produces alcohol. This is where John's craft stands out, in the way he works with yeast.
If you understand your yeast and keep it happy, put it in an environment that makes it happy, your beers will be amazing. Most breweries would like to only deal with 1-2 yeasts because they don't want to maintain too many yeasts. We use more than 10 different yeasts. We blend yeast at times as well. Because to me, it's like different yeast creates different flavor.
Some yeasts are clean and subtle. Others bring out bold and fruity notes. For John, it all comes back to the belief that when brewed with care, a beer can go places.
Singapore's leading the world in so many things and aspects, right? I think that we can also endeavor to make our beer scene
From salted egg snacks
Color looks good today. Yeah, the color looks good.
to single origin chocolate to local brews, these makers are crafting flavor with purpose. What began in humble kitchens or workshops is now reaching taste buds around the world, one bold idea at a time.
Cooling in tropical Singapore isn't a luxury. It's how the city gets through the day. When the sun hits like this, every part of the city heats up. So Singapore found another way to stay cool. One most people never see. Far below Marina Bay sits a hidden cooling network. Space reclaimed underground in a land-scarce city. And it's where engineers like Ching Yi keep it running.
For our district cooling system, we aggregate the demand of the cooling across all buildings. There are quite a few of them above ground, but I think what makes us unique is that we are located underground.
The plant extends 25 meters down, one of the largest underground cooling systems in the world. But going underground is only the first step. Here, massive chillers cool water to 4 degrees. The chilled water travels through a web of pipes to 27 buildings above, offices, hotels, and malls. And here's the twist. 18 chillers do the work of 27.
So, conventional method of having air conditioning in a building is to have its own chill water system in the building itself. For our district cooling system, we will mix the chillers. When we compare the large chiller and the small chiller, it's about 30 to 40% difference in size and also 30 to 40% difference in cooling capacity.
By mixing large and small chillers, the system meets demand while using less energy overall. One shared network, lower energy use, a cooler city above. And at night, the plant stores cold for the next day. It freezes tons of ice when power demand is lower and cheaper.
The amount of cooling that we store in the form of ice is up to 60 megawatt hours, close to powering up to 5 to 6 medium-sized buildings in terms of cooling demand.
With sensors tracking every pipe and pump, the network reacts instantly when cooling demand spikes. Sometimes it melts stored ice instead of running chillers at full power.
If there is an electrical price spike that requires us to lower our demand, so we'll switch off the chillers and then run the thermal storage to replace that.
When a chiller needs maintenance, cooling does not stop. Stored ice takes over. It's part of the reason this network has run for nearly 20 years without disruption. Dennis has spent more than a decade watching this underground network. Most people never see it. Everyone in Marina Bay depends on it.
The first sign of failure of equipment is vibration. So when the sensors pick up abnormal vibration from the equipment, that is a telltale sign that something is wrong with the chiller. It updates every few seconds, then the data is sent seamlessly for remote control and monitoring.
When an alarm sounds, every second matters. Even the ladders are placed for operators to reach faults fast. Cooling cannot stop.
For a day of use, we are circulating up to 15,000 meter cube an hour of chill water services.
That's enough water to fill 6 Olympic pools all flowing through a common services tunnel over 5 kilometers long. A hidden highway for water, power, data, and waste.
So this underground tunnel actually houses our district cooling network pipes. It also houses the potable water pipe from PUB. And for the dry side, it houses the electricity power cable from power grid side.
After cooling the buildings, the water returns warmer. It begins the cycle again. Its heat rises through cooling towers. This is one part of the system that sits above ground. Hidden in plain sight. The facade is designed for airflow. It helps the towers release heat efficiently. With cooling equipment moved underground, across the district, 25,000 square meters are freed up for other uses. And Marina Bay Sands gains valuable rooftop space.
The reason why you have all the F&B outlets up there and the infinity pool is because they don't have any M&E equipment, no cooling towers, because all of that is underground.
Harsha works on ways to make cooling more efficient across the city.
About 30 to 40% of electricity that's consumed in Singapore is attributed towards cooling the country. And if 40% of your energy use is consumed by buildings, you can think about, bringing in renewable energy. But the other side of the coin is also about energy efficiency.
For buildings on district cooling, the benefits go beyond energy savings.
So beyond just the 10 to 15, 20% of life cycle cost savings that they will be able to see purely from adopting district cooling, basically building owners will be able to benefit from bonus GFA through the adoption of district cooling or by housing a district cooling facility itself. The life cycle cost savings would easily tilt to 30, 40, and in some cases we have seen even up to 50% over a period of 30 years.
The plant below is an engineering feat, but underground space is limited.
You will always have space limitations. Once you're stuck underground, you also need to think about how you can optimize the space so that you can facilitate and provide cooling to many other buildings that will come up in the Marina Bay area in future.
The network is still expanding, stretching further into the central business district. Installing new equipment underground comes with its own challenges.
Because we use large-scale chillers, so the chiller cannot be delivered as a whole. And one of our design features is to knock it down so that it could be assembled again once it's delivered into the plant.
A new chiller, a new ice coil.
So one ice tank typically fits about 60 to 80 ice coils. One ice tank generally can power up to one mid-sized building when it comes to their cooling demand.
By 2030, it's planned to cool up to 50 buildings. 6 district cooling networks and projects serve buildings old and new. Some built from scratch, some retrofitted. All sharing one idea: cool more, use less.
So Marina Bay is obviously our anchor. This is where it all started. This is where we built our engineering expertise. This is where we also built our operational excellence. They have learned how to operate multiple plants, understand constraints that allows us to move water smoothly in a network, regardless of how many plants that are operating at the same time.
And the same system can also be adapted for outdoor spaces.
We did outdoor cooling at one of the National Day parades in Singapore. You've got water that comes back from the buildings, what we call chill water return in a chill water return loop. And we don't want the water to come back too cold. How do we pipe some of the return water into outdoor cooling hubs that can then dissipate cooling meaningfully? You're able to provide cooling outdoor. At the same time, you're able to improve the temperature of the water that goes back into the system, making the entire system operate more efficiently.
Singapore hit one of its coolest upgrades underground.
When we see people sightseeing or enjoying their leisure activities in the Marina Bay area, feeling cool and comfortable, we really feel proud of the work. Because not only is the system smart and green, but people actually enjoy the cooling solutions provided by our underground district cooling system.
Below the water and towers of Marina Bay, a hidden system keeps the district cool. Moving water, storing cold, reacting in seconds. Most people never see it, but the way the city feels depends on what's happening beneath their feet. In Singapore, new trends come fast, but some flavors never fade. These are bakes that generations grew up with. Made the same way for decades, still part of daily life in a city that keeps moving. One of those stories begins in Whampoa, at a bakery that never sleeps. At Sweetland's Confectionery, the ovens have been firing since the 1960s. Back then, it was known as Xingzi Dai, one of the hundreds of neighborhood bakeries that delivered fresh loaves to coffee shops across the city. Many of those bakeries have since closed. This one could have been next until Nicholas decided to take it on.
From what I know, there were probably two related owners before, an uncle passing it down to the nephew, and after which they sold the business off to the previous owner, which was a driver for them, and they had quite good success running the bakery until they sold the business to me.
Nicholas didn't grow up in this bakery, but when he heard it might close, he decided to step in.
I really enjoy heritage businesses. I would like to preserve some of it for future generations.
What he's keeping alive is the Hainanese loaf, once found in nearly every coffee shop across Singapore. It was first made by Hainanese migrants in the early 20th century, adapting European-style bread to local tastes. Toasted with kaya and paired with strong local coffee, this became the taste of Singapore's mornings. To some, it looks like a simple loaf. But ask any local and they'll tell you it tastes different.
It's kind of similar to a French loaf, to a baguette. The only difference is our Hainan loaf skins are thicker.
Making the Hainanese loaf begins the same way as any bread. But here, it's done in batches big enough to keep kaya toast on the table across the island.
We would mix about 4 bags of flour, and that would be about 100 kgs of flour, together with yeast, water, salt, sugar. It would yield almost 200 kg worth of dough.
Before it's shaped, the dough goes through a refiner, a step most bakeries have long abandoned.
Going through the refiner typically yields a more refined looking bread. The cell structure is nicer, it looks better.
It presses and stretches the dough, giving it a tighter structure and more uniform texture. It's an extra step and a slower one. But Nicholas insists on it, because for him, heritage isn't just about following tradition. It's about knowing which parts are worth keeping. At the same time, he knows when to adapt.
So in the past, every single loaf is molded by hand, and it's actually a very time-consuming process. So I decided to buy a molding machine.
When it comes to molding the dough, he's willing to bend tradition, adding a modern twist to an old trade.
We'll typically cut the dough into appropriate weightage and after it go into the molder. And from the molder, it will come out like a cigar shape.
The machine speeds things up. But when it first arrived, not everyone welcomed the change.
When we first bought the machine, a lot of them were making a lot of noise saying that, oh no, this machine, it shouldn't be this way. We should actually do it by hand. It's more traditional. They do not want to use it.
It took time, but once the team saw the bread stayed the same and the work got easier, they came around. Once shaped, the dough is placed into tins and left to proof, slowly rising as it ferments. When it's ready, it goes into the rotary oven. Tray after tray, each loaf bakes until golden, then set out to cool before it's sliced and delivered. Sometimes the hardest part isn't keeping a recipe alive. It's keeping the work going, day after day, loaf after loaf. Across the city, in another kitchen, a different kind of effort is unfolding. Something smaller, softer, and just as steeped in memory.
Hajah Maimunah started by my mother in 1992, along with my grandmother. So my grandmother actually supported her to open this business because my mom have passion in food. So we opened our first outlet.
Hajah Maimunah built its name on traditional Malay cooking. But from the start, kuih has always been part of the menu. They're a taste of tradition, just as important as the savory dishes the restaurant is known for.
Kuih plays an important role in Malay culture because it is something that brings us together. Every time we have gatherings, every time we have a celebration. Dia punya onde-onde punya sign mana, Cik?
At the heart of it now is Maria, working alongside her siblings to keep the recipes going, just as they've always been.
We use the traditional way of making kuih. We do still painstakingly make the onde-onde or some other kuihs that we make by hand.
Kuih lapis is one of the most popular. Layer by layer, batter is poured, steamed, then poured again.
It takes about 7 minutes to layer each layer of kuih lapis. If it gets too overcooked, it won't stick together. If it gets undercooked, the color will combine.
That same care goes into another bestseller, onde-onde. Each ball of dough is wrapped around palm sugar, sealed by hand, then boiled until it floats. Rolled in fresh grated coconut, it looks simple, but leaves no room for error.
The measurement and time needs to be precise because for onde-onde, if you overcook it, the gula melaka inside will burst out from the onde-onde. So if everything bursts out, you cannot use that batch. You have to throw everything away. Honestly, I feel the most difficult part of making kuih is the time and patience, and also you need to be very focused. Kuih is not something that you can rush.
It's this discipline, giving each step the time it needs, that keeps the tradition alive. And that same patience defines another Singapore favorite. Tucked away in the basement of Katong Shopping Centre, Dona Manis is a small bakery that has stood the test of time.
You want a slice? You slice here.
It's now run by Claire, a third generation, carrying the family's legacy forward. For more than 4 decades, the bakery has been known for one thing: its banana pie. A recipe passed down from her grandfather's time and kept alive in her hands.
There's something very special about handmade items.
In this world of fast food,
A typical day begins with the dough, butter, flour, and eggs mixed by hand, pressed into crusts, and baked. Bananas are chosen carefully, checked against a chart for the perfect ripeness.
and from there, the bananas are hand sliced and placed into the pie, and a filling of grated coconuts is layered on top. After which, we put in a puff pastry rim that has been sheeted and cut, and almond nips go on top. And then after that, of course, it's baked to a nice golden brown.
Each step is done by hand. It's a deliberate choice.
I think there is a charm to being artisanal and protecting the craft of pastry. I believe come with that love and care that we put into that things that we do. And I think that our customers can taste that.
But for her, it's about more than taste. It's about keeping something rooted, a way of baking and of remembering that connects people to where they come from.
I think heritage bakeries are a part of Singapore that connects us to our past. And, you know, my mom calls it Ken, which is your roots. And heritage bakeries do something for that we connect back to the past, we connect back to our roots, and we ensure the continuity of these memories.
The smell of bread, the colors of kuih, the sweetness of pie, each one a small ritual of daily life. Old school bakes that carry memory, heritage, and identity. And in a city that's always moving forward, they remind us some flavors are worth holding on to.